Shalom, shalom, everybody. In the name of Yahushua, the Messiah, all praises go to our Father in heaven. This is Rebuilding the Breach YouTube channel. My name is Chistian, and the title of today's lesson is The Testimony of the Nation of Israel was Established by Yah. Once again, I want to give all praise and honor, inspiration from our Father and His Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, who gives us wisdom, insight, and knowledge to share His word. Hallelujah. So, what is the purpose of this lesson, sons and daughters of Elohim? These are the three things that we're going to focus on. To dig into the scriptures and show how Yah has established a great name with great testimonies among His people. To discuss the struggles of this nation, and how Yah has used their struggles to bring about His promises to the whole world. To help people understand the importance of the nation of Israel according to the word, and rebuking the nations that attempt to blot out the testimony of this nation. So, this is titled, The Testimony of the Nation of Israel was established by Yah. It wasn't established by man. The Father ordained this nation to become a nation and to become everything that's needed for salvation for this world. And that salvation is in Yahushua's name. Yahushua the Hebrew. Okay, so we're going to deal with this topic. But before we start, we do want you to understand one thing, and we don't want any confusion. Okay, because I understand you may have heard the name Israel, and you may associate that with the modern day state. Remember, in this video, we ascribe truth, honor, praise, greatness to our Father in heaven. We don't ascribe lies or trickery to His name, because He is a perfect Elohim and pure, and there is no lie in Him, and there is no lie in His Son. So, to provide clarity before we start this lesson, when we say the testimony of the nation of Israel, sons and daughters of Elohim, we're referring to Israel according to the Bible. Now, when you hear the term, the modern day state of Israel in the 24th century, that's two different things. They may use the name Israel, but it's actually two different things. The Israelites in the Bible, we're talking about Yah established that nation. The modern day state of Israel, someone else established that. Okay. Now Yah allowed it, but that's a whole nother subject. And after this one slide right here, I'm going to explain a little more about this, okay? So, to provide more clarity about what I mean by this, let's go to Psalms 83 for a second. It says, Keep not silent, O El, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Elohim. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. And they have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. Okay, and then it goes over the nations that have a confederacy that's going to be doing those things. It was referring to nations at that time, because for many generations, the nations have been trying to blot out the name of Israel. Now remember, when it says blot out, okay, it's talking about the people. That's why it says, let's focus on this. Verse 2 says, For thy enemies make a tumult. And what does it say? And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So only people that hate the covenants are going to be against this, right? And what have they done? They've taken crafty counsel, so they're being sneaky about it. Against thy people. It's referring to the people, okay? Because the name Israel, you can use that name anywhere. But we're talking about Israel according to the Bible when we're talking about Yah established this nation. Just because another person used the word Israel doesn't mean Yah established it. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this now, okay? It's very important. So, I'm going to focus on three terms right here where it says examples. I'm on my arrow right here. It says examples. I can't highlight it because it's a PowerPoint. So, I'm going to give you three examples of why you cannot allow people to confuse you about the name of Israel, okay? Three examples. One, you have Yahushua, the Messiah, and then you have the false messiahs, and then you have the future anti-messiah. Yes, they're using the term Messiah. They may use the term Christ. That doesn't make it true. They're just using a term. That's an anti-form. The anti-Messiah. The anti-people, okay? So when you blot out the name of Israel, these are things you're trying to do. You're trying to blot out the testimony of the Hebrew Messiah, because he belonged to the nation of Israel, and he died for the sins of the nations too. But if you try to blot out his name and replace him, you're trying to blot out the name of Israel. The same things with the covenants. A lot of the modern day churches do not believe in the commandments, do not believe in the testimonies of the law. So if you blot out and say the covenants don't matter, you blot out the whole nation of Israel. You know why? Because that was the nation of Israel constitution. Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel. And he tells you to be obedient to his commands. The Messiah said, be obedient to the commandments. Exodus 20 said, be obedient to the commandments. Revelation says those who keep the commandments will have right to the tree of life. So we see the importance of this. But through replacement theology in the modern day church, they're saying that doesn't matter. That's another way of erasing the name of Israel by saying the commandments don't matter. And then you have a modern day state that may use the term Israel and place people in the land, and they call themselves Israel, but it's not the same as the Israelites in the Bible. So you have three different things specifically on purpose to blot out the truth about the Israelites. You got the true Messiah, and you got these fake anti-Messiahs, and you got the future anti-Messiah trying to blot the name of Israel out. You got the covenants, the constitution of the Father, and you're saying that doesn't matter. And if that doesn't matter, you're trying to erase the whole history of Israel. And then you got the Israelites in the Bible, and then you got the modern day state of people who are not Israelites, but say they are. These are three things that are attempting to blot out the name of Israel. It's a crafty agenda, and it's crafty counsel. So I said all of that and made those whole points to bring back this again. When we say the testimony of the nation of Israel was established by Yah, we want you to understand we're talking about the Israelites in the Bible and not the modern day state of Israel. I call that the anti-form, anti-Messiah, anti-people, anti-theology. All three are very dangerous doctrines that have attempted to wipe out the whole history of the nation of Israel, a nation that you're supposed to be a part of if you believe in Messiah. It's not the opposite. You believe in Messiah, then you become a part of the nation. According to Ephesians 2:19, there's no other way to be a part of this covenant. Galatians 3 talks about it as well too. Okay, so let's get to the point now. So I have to make that point so you're not confused. When we say Israel, you know what we're talking about. Okay, now Yah has established a great name with great testimonies among his people. We know that. That's the purpose of the lesson, and we're referring to the Israelites in the Bible. Let's see what Deuteronomy 32:7-9 says about this. It says, remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy fathers, he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divides to the nations their inheritance, and when he separates the sons of Adam, he sets the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For Yah's portion is his people, and Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found them in a desert land, in the waste hollow and wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. So it said, when he divided the nations their inheritance, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Remember, this is the testimony that Yah put on his people, and it started with Abraham. And it really started in Genesis 3. He has established this. So now he's sharing what he has established. He said, I found him in a desert land. We're going to talk about that a little more later today, what that is talking about. He found him out of nothing. He was a desert. There was no fruits. Everything was dry. And the Father made this whole nation what they are today. That's a great testimony. And that's why when you go to Genesis 32:22-29, you see the foundation of how they got this great name and how this great name brought glory and honor to the Father through their struggles, through their pains, and through their great testimonies, okay? So Genesis 32:22-29 explains, He rose up that night, talking about Jacob, and took his 2 wives and 2 women servants, his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. He took them and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaks. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said to him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with Elohim and with man, and hast prevailed. So the key thing that we want to focus on is, you see this testimony, this blueprint and testimony right here is the foundation of this nation, and it's really in the DNA of this nation from this time 2,900 plus years ago to the modern day age today. Among the Israelites of the Bible, they live across the 4 corners of the earth. They have the same testimony. It's something about the wrestling with the angel and fighting to get your blessing, no matter what you're going through. That's the testimony, and that's the mission statement of Israel. Okay, so Deuteronomy 32 talks about how Yah separate the sons of Adam according to the children of Israel. Genesis 32 talks about the importance of the name and how Jacob wrestled and prevailed, okay? And now he had power to reign with the Father because of this great testimony and what he did in this vision, okay? So when you discuss the nation Israel, you have no choice but to discuss the struggles, okay? Because the struggles is what the nation was made from, okay? And through the struggles, what do we have through these struggles? We have prophecies, we have covenants, we have salvation through Yahushua, through struggling, through fights, through oppression. Let's read this. This nation was brought forth through suffering. Genesis 15 is when the Father revealed to Abraham that his people would suffer in a land that was not theirs, and they would be oppressed. So the nation, they became a great nation through suffering. When they came out of Egypt, this nation was classified as homeless. If you're going by modern day standards, think for a second. You have tents. You live somewhere in the wilderness, in the desert, because you don't have a homeland. You're traveling to your homeland. You know you have a homeland, but it's not established yet. You are classified as a homeless person in modern day sense because you're dwelling in tents in the wilderness. Not only that, they lack clothes, food, and water. And they learned how to become a nation through their suffering. Deuteronomy 8:3-5 talks about, I made you hunger and suffered you. You had your clothes never waxed old. Because I wanted to see what was in your heart. Read Deuteronomy 8:3-5 on your own time. But this nation became all these things through these sufferings, okay? This nation has been in slavery and oppressed by powerful nations off and on for many generations. But Yah has still used them to bring forth his covenant. Not just his covenant, prophecies and promises. And the actual Bible that many read today. Romans 3:1-2 talks about that. The covenants is Romans 9:4-6. So you have a nation that was born through suffering, that has been off and on slavery for many generations. Some of that was because of their fault. Some of that because this is what Yah has established. Okay, it's very simple. When they came out of Egypt, Yah established the nation through oppression. Okay, and the reason why Israel has to be affiliated with that form of oppression is because the message of salvation from the Hebrew Messiah was through pain and suffering. As we read in Isaiah 53, it says, Yah established salvation through pain, suffering, and torture. This is what I typed. And he hanged on a tree. He was hung on a tree. And this testimony brought forth salvation for the whole world. Isaiah 53 talks about the suffering servant, the things they would go through. Okay, read that on your own time. Look at this great, amazing testimony Yah has established through a people that's been through a lot. Through slavery, through homelessness, through lack of need, being the bottom of the barrel, being the tail. A nation that's been enslaved and off and on and oppressed by powerful nations. But yet through all that, they still bringing forth that covenant, the prophecies. You had three specific, we talked about this past Sabbath day. When you think about the revelation in the last days, those revelations came through people that were slaves. Ezekiel, okay, he was a slave in captivity in Babylon. Daniel was a slave in captivity in Babylon. John, the book of Revelation, he was a slave on the island of Patmos, okay? Prophecies got brought forth through people that were being oppressed. Promises were established. The Bible you pick up every single day and read came through fighting, through oppression. This is how Yah established it. And to put the icing on top, he gave us the testimony of Messiah. And what did he go through? He had an Israelite experience. They put chains on him. They made him suffer. He was tortured. He was hung on a tree. And through that testimony, salvation was brought to the world. Praise Yah for the testimony he has established for the nation of Israel. This is truly by the power of Yah. He wants us to meditate on this. He wants us to remember this, people. That's why it says in 1 Corinthians 1, 27 to 31. I'm not taking up all your time today. This lesson is about 20, 25 minutes. But this is why it says this, people, in 1 Corinthians 1, 27 and 31. It says, but Yah has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And Yah has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world and things which are despised has Yah chosen, yea, things which are not, to bring to naught things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. But of him are ye in Messiah Yahushua, who of Yah is made unto us wisdom, righteousness, sanctification, and redemption. That according as it is written, he that glories, let him glory in Yah. You see these New Testament letters you have and you read and you love? These were men that went through oppression, went through pain, was in chains in prison houses for the sake of the word. You have your Old and your New Testament next to you right now. Understand what these people went through to write what they wrote and do the things they did. Yah used them, and he's going to use you. But don't forget about his people. Don't forget about the name of Israel and what it really stands for. It's a battle. It's a fight. But it's a plan of salvation. I'm so thankful by the grace of Yah that he has established his people. And he established these great testimonies. That's why King David, he established a law in Israel. He ascribed greatness to his name. The testimonies of Yah are amazing. I'm paraphrasing. All throughout Psalms, it talks about that, okay? So, told you I wasn't going to be too long-winded in this video. I just wanted to really give you all something to think about in these last days that we're living in. How Yah has established the nation of Israel and the things he allowed them to go through and the fruits that we see. And I'm not talking about those who were walking contrary to the word among Israel, but I'm talking about those who were obedient. You see the fruits of their life. So much so, he is the Elohim of Abraham. He's the Elohim of Isaac. He's the Elohim of Jacob. All these men are dead according to the flesh. But through their name, because of their fruits, they are alive. So now their name is next to the Father. When it comes to his title, Elohim Abraham. Your Bibles may say the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob, the God of Isaac. Their name gets to be next to the Father attribute. The attribute of their name is next to the Father's because they lived this life and they went through the suffering and they fulfilled their ministry. Israel is continuing to fulfill their ministry today. And even though people may not believe who they are today, it doesn't whether they believe it or not. Israel is fulfilling their ministry. All praises go to the Father. And he's going to allow them to continue to finish that ministry until Yahushua return. So as we talked about earlier, this is a testimony that Yah has established for his people. And we know what the nations want to do. And when nations are working with the enemy, anybody that's not grafted in, that through Messiah is working with the enemy. And what do they want to do? They want you to believe in a different Messiah, which is the anti-Messiah. They want you to believe in a different covenant, a covenant that says the law doesn't matter. They want you to believe in a different people, which is referring to the modern state of Israel and the people that live in the modern day state of Israel. By confusing these three things, they have now attempted to put a mockery on the name of Yah and the name of Israel he established. But all praises go to Yah, because all you got to do is open up your word and remember the testimonies he has established for the nation of Israel according to the word. And you can see this list. Now it's more than this, but I just put a few down. A nation that was born through suffering, yet Yah used. A nation that was homeless, lacked food, clothes, water, but became a great nation through suffering in the wilderness. A nation that's been through slavery and oppressed by powerful nations off and on for many generations. Jeremiah 2:14 talks about that as well if you need another reference. It says, is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Well, guess what? This spoiled nation, even though it was a lot of terrors among this spoiled nation, spoiled among the nations, Yah still used them to do some mighty things. Covenants, prophecies, promises, the Bible you read. And lastly, the message of salvation came from the Hebrew Messiah, Yahushua. Yah established through pain and suffering and torture, hung on a tree. But now you have salvation. These are the testimonies of Yah. These are the testimonies of the nation of Israel. A nation that's still alive and walking around today and doing their job when they are being obedient to the Most High word. And if you believe in Yahushua Mashiach and you believe in the commandments, guess who you are? You are a part of this family too, okay? So we're going to go and ascribe power, greatness, and truth to our Father as it pertains to the nation of Israel. And these anti-versions of the anti-Messiah, anti-people, anti-non-covenant keepers, they can have their narrative, they can have their storyline. Let them have it. Let them have the state of Israel. Let them ascribe lies to the state of Israel. Let the modern day folks say God returned his people. Let them have it. Because the testimonies we see for the true nation of Israel, you can't even compare the two. You can't even compare what the Father has allowed through his people compared to this modern day state. But I digress that point. All praises go to our Father in heaven for his great testimonies he has established among his people. Until next time, Shalom, Shalom. Hallelujah.